My name is Kathy Blackburn. Blackburn Law Firm, lifeplanlaw.com, and I invited you all here. And Colleen is another lawyer with our firm, so she's helping us out here today. Let's talk first about what is long-term care. When I say long-term care, what am I talking about? Well, I could be talking about care at home, because a lot of people do have care at home with their spouse or their family, sometimes with hired assistance, and sometimes with paid help. Now, Genworth is a big long-term care insurance company, and Genworth does a survey every year, and the 2021 survey says that if you're going to pay for 44 hours a week for housekeeping or home health aid, which is, of course, one of the lowest levels of assistance in the home, you're going to pay about $4,767 per month. So these things are not inexpensive. Well, what else is long-term care? Well, an independent apartment at senior living would be long-term care. A CCRC, now that's a continuing care retirement community. That's a community like the Westminster facilities that you buy into. Does anybody live in one of those communities? And those are appropriate for some people, but you pay an entrance fee to it, and then you also pay a monthly maintenance fee, but you are guaranteed 3 levels of care. You're guaranteed independent living, you're guaranteed assisted living, and you're guaranteed skilled nursing. Continuing care retirement community. So that may make sense for some people. I find for my clients that it makes sense for people who have no family. They have some pretty significant assets, and they can pay $125,000 or $150,000 or more entrance fee, plus the monthly fees, but they have nobody to rely on if something happens, and so they feel secure in a CCRC where they are accustomed to the folks that are there and they are guaranteed services. So that's appropriate for some people, and it's pricey. You can also get rental apartments in senior living. My father was at Addington Place, which is down on the Bayway, at a rental apartment. The Fountains is a rental apartment. Grand Villa is a rental apartment. The Princess Martha, etc. So those are available as well. These particular facilities will provide security and meals, usually at least 2 meals a day. They provide housekeeping and some transportation services and activities. So in many ways, these are very nice facilities. I mean, it was a big help for my father to live there because he had been living alone. And while he got along okay and he didn't need anybody to help him with his activities of daily living or anything, he got a lot more socialization living in a community. So, that's available. But there's no personal assistance at this level. There's no personal assistance at the level of independent apartment living. So what's the next level? The next level, in my mind, would be assisted living. That could be still an independent apartment. It could be a private room at a home-like environment or a larger kind of facility, or it could be a shared room in the same kind of facility. According to the Genworth survey, an assisted living facility will cost $4,000 a month on average. Now that's for one person. So more care is going to involve more cost. And that's, the $4,000 a month is pretty much the lowest level of care and the monthly rental, but of course it includes meals and assistance. Now, one thing that I hope you leave here with is that memory care is assisted living care. I get a lot of calls from people, and the marketers at these facilities are not going to make this clear to you. When someone has memory problems or dementia, a lot of these assisted living facilities will market themselves very heavily for memory care. And then they will tell you, we take Medicaid. Okay, this is not a nursing home. Nursing homes do not call themselves memory care. Nursing homes will care for people with memory issues, but they don't call themselves memory care. That's assisted living, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Medicaid benefits, but let me just tell you flat out, Medicaid will not pay 100% of memory care in an assisted living facility. This is like any other assisted living. You have to pay the room and board portion of your own care. Well, what else? Nursing home care. When we think about long-term care, most of us are thinking about nursing home care. Sometimes we call that skilled nursing care or rehab services. Now, both of those are a little different. Skilled nursing and rehab services are, in a way, a little bit different. So nursing home care, whether we call that skilled nursing care or rehab care, is going to provide 24-hour-a-day personal care and services. And it may also provide literally skilled care for that. According to the Florida Department of Children and Families, the average private pay rate in Florida for nursing home care is $9,703 per month. Okay. So, $120,000 a year disappears in paying for nursing home care. Here's a striking statistic. The Genworth survey estimates that 7 out of 10 people will require long-term care in their lifetime. Now, that doesn't mean 7 out of 10 people will be in a nursing home, but it does mean that most of us, as we age, are going to need some assistance with things. So let's talk a bit about payment sources for long-term care and go back through the same kind of levels of care. So care at home, having somebody help you at home. I spent about 30 years of my career representing catastrophically injured people, and when we were looking at economic damages, we actually got PhD economists to come in and testify about the value of services that are provided by family members and spouses. So I will not say that care by a spouse or a family member is free. It isn't. I mean, it is an enormous benefit that family members provide to people who need help. But if you actually ask for United States Department of Labor statistics of the value of that, I guarantee you'd be shocked at the value of that care that's provided by family. You can also pay privately for care to come in. Here's where long-term care insurance can help. Now, VA, the Veterans Administration, aid and attendance can help with this. How many of you are veterans? Awesome. So you want to pay special attention when I talk about VA aid and attendance, because veterans who were honorably discharged, served at least one day during a wartime, and have modest means, modest income, and modest assets can get a little over $2,000 a month in help from the VA, which can be the difference between being able to stay in your home or live in a nice assisted living facility or going to a nursing home. So that's a nice benefit. And then there are some limited Medicaid benefits at home. Now, this is where I said it's almost true that Medicaid only pays for nursing homes. A lot of the Medicaid lawyers, the elder law attorneys like me, we call these waiver benefits for Medicaid. You can get up to about $1,200 a month of Medicaid benefits to help in the home. However, one, you have to qualify for Medicaid. Two, there's a wait list for those services, and the state won't tell us how long it is. So people with greater needs get the benefits sooner than others. People with lesser needs will probably never be reached on the wait list. And it's run by managed care. So it's turned over to an insurance company who decides what you need. So if you figure you're going to get about $1,200 a month, remember $4,700 a month to get help in the home, you're not going to get much. So there are some limited Medicaid benefits. There's a special place for people on these waiver benefits. I don't have this in the slides, so if you care to remember this, write it down. People who have been in a nursing home for 60 days go to the top of the list. So this is going to be people who had something happen like a broken hip, a stroke, a serious illness, who were in a nursing home for rehabilitation, have been there for 60 days, and have gotten well enough to go home. Those people can continue Medicaid benefits at home, but at that level I just told you. So it's still quite limited. Independent apartments at senior living, well, can you get help with that? Well, you can pay for it yourself. Long-term care insurance will pay under certain circumstances. VA aid and attendance will help with that. And then those limited Medicaid benefits are available there as well, but they only pay for the care component. They do not pay for the room and board component. I understand that a lot of the facilities in Sarasota will fudge that a bit and will give you a discount on your room and board for the Medicaid portion. In Pinellas, forget it. In Pinellas, they want their full room and board, and if they're giving you $400 a month of care, they want their $1,200. It's a business. So back to payment sources for long-term care. In assisted living, whether that is in an independent apartment, in a shared room, or in a private room, we have the same sources: private pay, long-term care insurance, aid and attendance, and limited Medicaid benefits. Those are the same sources for memory care. So the room and board portion for memory care is more expensive because those are monitored units. Sometimes they're locked units so that people with memory difficulties won't or can't wander somewhere. Well, what about nursing home and what we call nursing home rehab? This is where a lot of confusion comes in. So Medicare will pay 100% of rehab for 20 days. And they will pay up to 100 days with a copay. The copay is currently $194.50 per day, or nearly $6,000 a month. Now, I don't include this in long-term care because it's not long-term care. This is rehabilitation. This is when you broke your hip and you need physical therapy, you had a diabetic incident and you need to get your blood sugars stabilized, you had a stroke and you're having rehab, but you're going to get better. One of the requirements for nursing home or for Medicare payment in a nursing home is that you're getting better. So when somebody plateaus and they're not going to get any better, Medicare is going to cut you off. It's only to get you better. And then they only pay for 20 days. If you have original Medicare and a supplement, the Medigap policy, the supplement policy will pay the copay. But here's the warning. Medicare Advantage, you know, the one that's so cheap and gives you some of your Part B back, and it's so great because you get a silver sneakers. No. Okay, full confession, I don't go to a gym at all. When I feel the urge to exercise, I lie down until it goes away. So forget about the silver sneakers thing. It's not going to attract me. But the Medicare Advantage Advantage plans are not going to pay that copay. So if you're on Medicare Advantage, you use up your 20 days, you still are getting better, you need rehab, $194.50 a day. Yeah. So what about nursing home that is not rehab? So maybe you were in rehab and got to the point where you can't walk, can't transfer on your own, can't live independently. Now you have to have 24-hour assistance available to you. Now you're in long-term care. Now your benefit sources are private pay at almost $10,000 a month. Long-term care insurance will pay for that, and full Medicaid benefits. So here we are where most people who come to an elder law attorney like me for Medicaid planning are people in this situation. They've been in the hospital, they went to rehab, they didn't get well enough to go home, and now they have to stay in a nursing home. And they don't have $10,000 a month to pay for it. So now we have to transition them to Medicaid. Medicaid will pay 100% of this. It makes no sense to me that they will pay for that and won't pay for the lesser, less intensive areas, but I don't make the rules. So that nursing home care, both rehab without a supplement insurance. There are people who have Medicare Advantage plans because they simply can't afford to pay $200 or $250 a month for the supplement insurance. And so when they end up where they need to stay in a nursing home for rehab, they can't pay the $195 a day copay either. So we can help those people qualify for Medicaid so that Medicaid will pay the copay. Right? That's one of the situations where we're helping people qualify for Medicaid, and then people who can't go back home and must stay in a nursing home is another place where we help people qualify for Medicaid. For VA, aid and attendance. So you have to have served at least one day during a wartime. So that's either right now, I don't think there are too many Korea vets still around, some. I don't think there is even a single World War II vet still around, but Vietnam vets are certainly here. And the first Iraq War, when it began, I think it was 1990, up through the present counts as a wartime. They've never declared an end to it. So anybody who has served during that time would qualify. You don't have to have served in theater. So you don't have to have gone to Vietnam. You just have to have served during the Vietnam era. You have to be 65 years or older with a limited income. The income is a balancing test difference between your income and what you're paying for care and medical. Now, if you're a retired colonel, you're not going to qualify on a full pension. So, but people with modest incomes certainly can qualify. You have to need assistance with your activities of daily living, or you have dementia or Alzheimer's, and you have to have under $137,400 in assets outside your home and your auto, so cash assets of $137,400. Now, the application for this is available online. You don't have to have an attorney to do it. And the veteran aid organizations will help you with it. Pinellas County has a veteran services office where the people are extremely knowledgeable and extremely good at helping folks with this and with all things veterans. Now, the other thing I know something about is qualifying for Medicaid long-term care benefits. This is where you're probably going to be confused in 5 minutes. Why it is so complicated, I can't tell you, but there are 2 tests for Medicaid. One is an income test, the other is an asset test. So for income, you have to have $2,523 or less in income. However, if you have more than that, don't worry about it. Because there's a technique that we can use called a qualified income trust, where we can take your $3,500 a month, put it into a qualified income trust, and bingo, you qualify. So that's the income test, but don't worry about it. Right. What you do have to know is that basically all of your income, except $130 a month, is going to go to the nursing home. $130 a month is called the personal needs allowance. Once again, I didn't make the rules. Don't ask me how somebody takes care of their shampoo needs for $130 a month, but you know, they probably don't buy shampoo at the stylists. If you have a spouse, you can divert somewhere between $200 and $3,400 to your spouse of your income in the nursing home, and that is a really complicated calculation, but know that you don't impoverish your spouse. You can divert some money. It won't be enough, but you can divert some. Now, what's really important here is to know that income from your retirement accounts is income, not asset. So if you have a retirement account, the very first thing we'll do is start taking distributions from it, because then the distributions will be income, but you preserve the principal of it. So you do not have to liquidate your retirement account. You do not have to sell your home. That's the asset test. Here's the scary piece. You have to have assets under $2,000. Yikes. Yeah. But believe it or not, we can get you there. First, your home and your automobile are exempt. So you will not lose your home in Florida. Other states will take your home, but not Florida. So that's exempt. That $2,000 does include your cash, your investment accounts. It includes the cash value of your life insurance. Now, if you have whole life where it is accumulating cash value, I'm pretty sure you're going to have to liquidate that to qualify for Medicaid. We might be able to change the owner to your spouse, but that's about the only way we can preserve your life insurance. Your annuities. Yes, unless it's an IRA annuity, that counts against you. So the likelihood is you're going to have to liquidate your annuity. Now this one's in red. Imagine why. Please pay attention. There is a 5-year look back for gifts. You cannot get down to $2,000 by giving money away. it will disqualify you from Medicaid. Now, this can include putting joint owners on your bank account, putting your kids on your bank account. Okay, don't recommend that. I don't recommend that for lots of reasons, but that's a big one. It includes giving your kids a debit card. I don't know why, for some reason, I'm seeing, moms taking care of sons who drain their bank account every month. That's going to be a problem with Medicaid. And so at some point you just have to steel yourself and say, no, I just can't do it. It's gonna put me in too much of jeopardy. Right? So how do we get your assets under $2,000? Well, you can spend it. You can spend it on items for fair market value. But of course, whatever you buy with it is going to count as an asset. You can pay off the mortgage on your home because your home is exempt. But other than that, you're going to have to, or an automobile, you're going to have to account for the asset that you purchased with it. I call techniques to get you under $2,000 to qualify for Medicaid restructuring your assets. I don't know that other people call it that, but I do. And this is according to Medicaid rules. Okay, so flat out, your spouse can have $137,400 in assets and you qualify for Medicaid. So if you've got $135,000 between you, we're going to move it to your spouse and you're going to qualify. That's a very simple technique. Well, what if you have more than $137,400? Well, in Florida, there is an unlimited spousal exemption for transfers between spouses. Unless the legislature takes it away, we can move any amount of money from one spouse to the other, and the ill spouse will qualify for Medicaid. Now, what that requires is for the community spouse to refuse to contribute to the ill spouse. We call that spousal refusal. Medicaid accepts it. It's unpleasant. You don't want to think about it. Think about it as a business transaction. So we can move any amount of money from, or assets, vacation home, boats, whatever, to the community spouse, and you will qualify. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do this is what we call a lifetime personal services contract. Right, if you don't have a spouse, now we're limited in what we can do. So one thing that we can do is we can pay someone. It doesn't have to be a child. It could be anybody, but I would trust them if I were you. We pay them a lump sum up front to provide a list of services to you for the rest of your life. Things like managing your finances, visiting at the nursing home, going to the care plan meetings and making sure you're receiving appropriate care, communicating with your doctors. Let me tell you, that takes time. I did it for my dad, and it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of effort. So Medicaid understands somebody has to do that. So they will allow you to pay them a lump sum up front to do that for the rest of your life. The amount is based upon your life expectancy, according to the life tables. However, it's taxable to the recipient. There's a catch to everything. If you want to know, gosh, is there any way to avoid that? Maybe. Talk to me privately. You can use rental property. So let's say you've got $5 million. Now, if you have $5 million, you probably want to pay for 24-hour a day, 7-day a week in-home care. But if you don't, we could buy rental properties. Now, the net rental income becomes income. That goes to the nursing home. However, we preserve the value of the properties, including the appreciating value of the properties. I don't use that very much because, quite frankly, if we're putting that much money into rental properties, the income is going to end up over $10,000 a month anyway. You know, so it's generally not helpful to do it, but we can.